events. All right, so the first question that you probably have, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at WeddingWire. We actually have a great group of folks, a good portion of our development team here. And the first question that I usually get when someone sees that the CMO of WeddingWire is talking is he going to talk about weddings the whole time? The answer to that is yes. No, I'm just kidding. I will take you through 3 slides about what we do, because I think it's relevant. Beyond that, I will not use the word wedding, hopefully after. So the first one is just what WeddingWire is. We are the largest network in the US to plan weddings. So we power WeddingWire.com, Martha Stewart Weddings, and a number of other sites. The best way to describe what we do is we're kind of like the Yelp for weddings. You want to find a photographer, a DJ, a caterer, you want to read reviews about them, we are the largest resource to find vendors and read reviews in the US. This year, one thing that we did was we actually went beyond weddings. So we created some fun other sites for birthdays. My favorite one is actually Mitzvah Wire. So if you're planning a bar or bat mitzvah, you can actually use our sites and services to plan that. But really what we are, we have these consumer-facing sites, but really we are a platform for small and medium-sized businesses. So we actually power 130,000 businesses in the US. That is your hotels, your venues, your caterers, your florists, your DJs, with different aspects of what they do. And so we cover 4 different aspects, from advertising to marketing to CRM. I'm going to talk about one of the features that we've built within marketing. So within marketing, we talk about search, social, mobile, local. I'm going to show you what we've built for our businesses in mobile. The second question that you probably have, so I saw a lot of developers are in the room. What does a marketer know about mobile development? The answer to that is absolutely nothing. The first couple sessions, I was like, what are all these terms? I don't know what those are. But the point of the matter is that I think it's all about having a strong working relationship between dev, marketing, sales, and the different functions. And so ultimately, we work very closely. And so Jeff, our CTO, is sitting up there. The goal is not just building something that is great. It's making sure that you're building a product that people will flock to, that people want to use. So we look at pain points, we look at a lot of different statistics and data to help drive the decisions we make. And so I like to say, if you build something good, then the customers will follow. And so our dev team builds a lot of great things. And then the third question that you probably have is, I probably look a little familiar to you. So I usually have to take off my glasses for you to see the resemblance, but I was in this movie. I do a dance scene at the end. So I'm waiting for the sequel. Until then, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of WeddingWire. In reality, my background's a little bit different. I wasn't actually in that movie. I actually used to be in brand management. So I used to manage a lot of different products for Kraft Foods. My biggest brand was JELL-O. So I know Bill Cosby. I used to work with him. I launched 18 flavors of JELL-O. Today, 15 of them are discontinued from JELL-O. But if you like pudding pops, I did bring those back. And if you like sugar-free JELL-O pudding in cups, that was actually the product that I worked on. Wal-Mart, I went there, lived in Bentonville, Arkansas, and pretty much shopped in Walmarts all day long. On the weekend, my barber was in Walmart, my bank was in Walmart, and my McDonald's was in Walmart. And then I went to WeddingWire, and usually people ask me, what the heck do those 3 things have to do with each other? JELL-O, Walmart, and weddings. So I've actually been marketing to the same consumer base, which is women in their mid-20s to early 30s, whether they're planning weddings or buying JELL-O. So with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about how do we frame what's happening in mobile to small businesses. So I always like to think back to what the first cell phones looked like. They weren't really mobile phones. You carried around a bag and went places with this huge bag. And even before this, it used to be installed in our cars. I also like to watch Saved by the Bell. So Zach Morris had this huge phone. It pretty much did nothing. It looked like a brick, and you'd carry it around. But today's cell phones do much more. Our mobile phones do much more. And so if you think about it, it has replaced so many devices for us, and that's how we frame it for our businesses, which is you may have an alarm clock and a GPS and a game system and a music system, and your phone is over time replacing all of those. Taking and carrying a camera, for many of us, unless you're a professional photographer, doesn't happen as much as it used to. I always love this slide because I think it puts a frame on how quickly things are moving. So this is the number of years that it took a piece of technology to reach 50 million people using it. So for the radio, how many years did it take to get 50 million people using the radio. Any guesses? 30 years is pretty good, so it's 38 years. And if you think about the TV, so it's a little bit quicker, so it's 13 years. And then the internet was 4 years. And I always like to ask about the iPod because we usually think that the iPod was very quick to 50 million users. And it actually took 3 years. So if you think about what's happening with Android right now, for instance, Android will activate 50 million people in 39 days, as of right now. So they're activating 1.3 million people, or 1.3 million devices each day. So in 39 days, we will get that same 50 million new users on Android that it took radio 38 years to add. That is how quickly the world is moving, and that is what we try to tell all of our businesses, is it's a gigantic shift on how fast things move in this age. I love this stat, and I'm actually going to give away some WeddingWire sunglasses. They're pretty cool. So if anybody can guess the number of iPhones sold per hour, and this is before iPhone 5 came out, so it doesn't adjust for a big spike. Any guesses? 1,200? 4,200? 500,000 per hour. Okay. 30,000, all right. 500, okay. So 4,200 I think is the closest. I'm gonna try and throw this. Hopefully it makes it. Oh, that's not good. I made it into a chair. So that number is 16,750. With the iPhone 5, it's only going to increase. The best way that I love to frame this is how many babies are born per hour? The number is 16,000. Okay, roughly 16,000. So we sell more iPhones per hour than babies are born. So pretty much when a baby is born today, they are given an iPhone. Okay? I love this stat. So roughly in the world right now, there are between 6.8 and 7 billion people. Okay? So how many active mobile subscriptions are there right now, if you think about it? And the numbers vary, but the most common number that I see is about 4.8 billion. So it ranges from 4.4 to about 4.8 billion. So how many active toothbrushes are in the world today? Active. So it's 4.2 billion. So interesting stat, and I'll share that at the end, which is mobile is really a game changer, that every single person in this world has access. So I always like to say, we talked about solo mo before, and I think those are three huge tenets, but we always like to say that the last 5 years, what we've lived through have been the social revolution. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, all these things, it has changed how we interact with people. We think we use our mobile phones a lot, we are developing things, but in essence, the next 5 years is going to be the mobile revolution. I don't actually believe that it has yet to start. I think what we're going to build, what all of you are going to develop, are going to transform the world in the next 5 years. Things have moved very fast. They're going to move faster in the next 5 years because of all of you. So I have a nice MacBook Air. It's going to look very much like this in the future. We're going to rely on our tablets and our mobile devices very much. And a lot of the reason for that is now we can get all that information from the cloud, and it goes to whatever device and makes even our smallest phones that much more powerful. So the big thing that we like to say is, from an internet-based company, our information to our consumers needs to be anytime, anywhere, any device. So if we're creating an offering for our consumers or our merchants, whatever that is anytime, anywhere, any device, and that is one of the tenets that we believe in at our company. So, mobile's growing. There are more mobile subscriptions than toothbrushes, but there's a big challenge, okay? So everybody in this room, you all know that. For small businesses, medium-sized businesses, they know that people are using their phones, but they don't know what that means for their business. And so we like to show a couple stats, and this is one from Morgan Stanley that I always like to show, which is that for the first time last year, we sold more smartphones and tablets than desktops and laptops combined. So more smartphones and tablets than desktops and laptops combined. So what does that mean? That means that those computers that we love are going away. And I think in 10 years, the concept of a desktop computer is probably gone. The other thing that we tell our businesses is that 1/2 of all local searches, whether it's a restaurant or finding something, are happening through mobile right now. But probably the biggest stat that we always point to, and one that we should all feel confident as we think about mobile development, is this one, that sometime between 2013 and 2014, more people are going to access the web through mobile devices than from desktops and laptops combined. This isn't like 2024, this is coming in the next year or so. That is huge if you think about what we do. It is very bad for a lot of businesses who have a website they created 15 years ago, and many of them have yet to change anything on them. So this time frame is coming very soon. So we did a survey in 2011. We asked our businesses, how many of you are mobile ready? Okay. So what was the number we got back? 53%. Not bad. Unfortunately, what mobile ready to our small businesses at the time meant that I can open my phone, type in the web address, and I actually see my site. Okay, it wasn't a mobilized site. It wasn't that I've created an app for my business. It was I can get to my site from a mobile phone. What was the actual true percentage of people who had mobilized their sites a year ago within our user base? And that number was less than 1%. So the common stat is that less than 1% of all small businesses in the US have actually mobilized as of about a year ago. When we looked at our users, it was less than 0.5% of our current members who had mobilized their business. You have all this traffic, all this activity, and nobody's doing anything about it. So in this circle, we see that. One of the things and why we print funny looking t-shirts is because we want to convey that same message of how quickly things are moving and how do we build things for you. So the challenge for a business, there are 4 of them that I see. So the first is that there are tons of mobile devices, especially on Android. You have different operating systems across each of those. It takes, for a business, a decent amount of money to hire someone to build a good mobile presence. And probably the most important thing, which a lot of us get right, is figuring out what's needed in a mobile site. I can't tell you how many times there are businesses that want to replicate every single piece of their website onto their mobile experience. Every image, every review, they want to put the exact thing onto that mobile experience. And so one of the things that we try and train on is you don't need to replicate everything, right? So for a business to figure out what features are needed, if you work with businesses or at your own company, it's actually not the simplest thing. It's something that our companies grapple with, but also the companies we work with. So Google did a study which was based on this, which is what % of users will leave your website if they get a bad experience. So I know I want to visit your website, I type that in, what's the percentage chance that I'm going to leave? Many of you would say 100%. The number is actually 80%, because there's a chance that I actually wanted to get some information from your website. But the point is, for a lot of businesses out there that haven't mobilized, they're throwing away 4 out of 5 customers. And the big point that we try to make is we need to make sure we're retaining this 80%. So that brings me to, here's all the growth. Here's the big challenge, which is you have all this growth going, and while we do things about it, most of the world isn't doing anything when it comes to business. So what's our solution to help these businesses mobilize quickly? And so through partnership with our dev team and working through the pain points, what we were able to come up with and what our development team was able to build is what we call our mobile site creator. It allows any business to mobilize in seconds, okay? So what it does is it looks at the business information that we have within our site, and we know their business name, their photos, their reviews. They take a piece of code, they place it on their own website. The next person who comes from a desktop or laptop sees their website as always. The next person that comes from a smartphone or a tablet now gets a mobilized version of all their info. So I'll go through a couple more slides of what we did. So the first thing that they can do is they can enable or disable a tablet version. They can choose a main image as a background. They can adjust the About Us section, and they can change the color scheme. So they can actually make this website look very similar to their regular website. What we're trying to do is make sure that it's streamlined, but also making sure that it looks and feels similar to their branding. They can put their logo, they can put their primary image, they can actually customize that, and they actually see the demo as they're building this. The second thing that they do is they cut and paste the code. And there are 3 ways that they can do that. They can either do that themselves. They can say, I want to email this to the person who manages my website, because a lot of small businesses don't have any idea, so they can email it directly through our page. Or the third option is they can contact us and we'll help them. So literally, you drag and drop a couple things, you take the code, you place it on your website, and your business is now mobile. So what does that do? There are a couple things why we like it. So we've made sure that it's optimized across all mobile devices, from Android to iPhone to Blackberries for those that have those. probably the most important thing is we made sure that at the bottom of every page, it is one call to action. So whether you want to map to that business, whether you want to call, whether you want to contact, if you hit call, it calls that business number. If you hit map, it maps that business. So it is the quickest way that we made sure that we take charge of all the activity that happens through their mobile presence. And what's great is for a lot of businesses, they may change their phone number. They may add a new picture. They may get a new review. Anytime any content gets updated, our mobile sites will update as well. So for a small business or a medium-sized business to say that I need to go change my phone number on the web and then go adjust my mobile presence, that costs money. This is a way that does it automatically through what we've built. And then lastly, what we launched recently is the ability to create a customized tablet version as well. So not just for the phone, but taking advantage of the full landscape. So we launched this about a year ago. We just launched version 2.0 in September of this year. And so we started at 0.4%, right, was the amount of adoption. So we've emailed our members, we go out on talks, we speak at conferences, and so where are we today? And so what percentage of our members are now mobilized with this tool? And so we're up to about 8%. So if you look at it on a percentage basis, that's quite a large increase from 0.4% to 8%. The goal is by the end of this year, we're going to be at about 30 to 40% of our small businesses will have a mobile presence. This is using our tool. As we've gone through this process, I really don't care how businesses mobilize. They just have to mobilize. Our tool is the quickest way for many businesses to do it within our ecosystem, but we care that they're mobilizing even if they're doing it on their own. So this number is actually quite a bit higher, because as we've been sharing this, there are a lot of our members who've gone out and done it on their own. So it's actually greater than about 12% if you look at it that way. So we like to be the ones leading the change. And so that gets me to the final section that I'll talk about. And so that's the mobile future, and what does all of this mean, and how is it applicable to each of our businesses? So I like this graph from Kleiner Perkins, which really shows that as technology advances, there's a 10x factor every single time. And so what that means is that as you went from desktop internet to mobile internet, the amount of people that have access increases as technology advances 10x. So when you think about the mobile internet, it has the reach to 10 billion people. That means it has reach to every single person on the face of this planet. I think mobile is the most powerful technology we've ever built and conceived, in the sense that every person, every village, every single place will have access to information that all of us have. And I think it's a very empowering thing for all of us throughout the globe. I always like to frame it as, however, there are 3 questions that we need to think about on our own. So the first one is, mobile's great. So as you go throughout the rest of the day, think about these 3 questions, because I think about them a lot. The first one is, does it take away our ability to communicate with each other? We want to make sure that we actually know how to carry conversation. The second one is this, which is, do we forget how to enjoy company? I can't tell you how many times I go to dinner and there are 5 people there and everybody's texting on their phone. We need to make sure that the people in front of us, the people we work with, no matter how good technology is, it shouldn't replicate those relationships. And the best way that I get around this is I tell everybody to take their cell phones, put it in the middle of the table. The first person who grabs their phone pays the bill. It works amazingly well. The third question is, as technology advances, as we turn to mobile to answer our questions on a social, local, mobile basis, do we forget to think on our own? We're building technologies that take away the thinking that many people have to do. Ultimately, human beings are lazy. Okay, so we used to go to the library to get information, then we used to go to encyclopedias, and then to computers, and then to laptops, and now we turn to our pocket or our purse. We have answers on the fly to every single question. The problem with that is, I've actually seen people hold their phone up, ask Siri a question, and will say, what's the weather going to be like today? In front of a window, and it's raining outside. So the point of the matter is, I like to use that example. Technology is great, mobile is amazing, and it is going to be very empowering. At the same time, we need to make sure that those 3 things, that the ability to communicate, the ability to enjoy other people's company, and the ability to think on our own, continue to stay. So I'll leave you with 2 last thoughts. The first one is a quote from Wayne Gretzky that I love. And this is how we frame what we do at our company. And so Wayne Gretzky's quote is, and I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but I'm a big fan of greatness. And Wayne Gretzky is, I would say, the greatest hockey player there is. He says a good hockey player plays where the puck is, a great hockey player plays where the puck is going to be. The same way we think a good company plays where the customer is, a great company plays where that customer is going to be. And so what we did of how we think about mobile is how do we actually take all these trends and apply it to our ecosystem and build technology that is so simple that it takes cut and paste and you are now mobile as a business. It takes seconds. So I think if we think about what we do and so what Jeff and his team do, I think a great thing that we've done is that we're not building for demand, right? So if we were to build for demand, we wouldn't have thought about mobilizing our small businesses probably for another 6 years, right? So what are we trying to do? We're trying to build for opportunity because the opportunity to mobilize 130,000 small businesses is pretty powerful. So we like funny shirts, would love to connect. We have a great team here. There are about 10 of us across our dev team and marketing team. Would be happy to answer any questions. After this, you can find me on Twitter at SonnyG. So I don't think I mentioned the word wedding after we started, but we are a weddings-based company, but ultimately we see ourselves as a technology company that happens to focus on weddings. And so our goal is how do we build great technology for businesses that can't do that, right? So as a small business, you are the CEO, the CTO, the CMO, you are everything. At WeddingWire, we want to be your CTO, your CMO, and those other functions. And so that's why we build a lot of the technologies that we do. So thank you for listening, and I enjoyed sharing that with you. Thank you.